Hi friends, and a very happy Thursday to you. Welcome to Weather Out West. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. And if you are just joining us for the first time, Weather Out West is an hour-long segment, and 8 of our sister stations come together, bring you the latest forecast. We have the Pacific Northwest down to Arizona. We have Colorado as well as the state of California. And for today, we're going to kick things off in California, especially Southern California, where they've had some moisture moving in from what's left of Juliet in the eastern Pacific, bringing them some showers. Check it out.
Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Evan Irani in San Diego, where we're tracking a much different weather pattern than what we've tracked over the last several days and really the last several weeks. We are typically around this time frame seeing a lot of monsoonal moisture, and we saw that up until yesterday. Then a quick transition today as we start to track tropical moisture coming from mainly the southwest of us. We've been watching Tropical Storm Juliet as it is now a post-tropical cyclone, almost completely deteriorated. Still small eye with cloud cover kind of moving around it. We're watching as it sends a bit of moisture our direction. None of this is expected to really impact us in a dramatic way, but what it has led to start off our Thursday morning is some scattered shower activity, and that's what we're still going to be watching for over the next couple hours and throughout the morning, midday time frame. Borrego Springs picking up on some of those showers throughout the 7, 8, and 9 a.m. hour. Early this morning out along the coast, it was closer to about 4 and 5 a.m. that we saw enough to wet the roads for sure. And we're going to see that chance of rain steadily drop down from about 60, 70% down to 20% by about 1 p.m., holding on to overcast skies and then watching as those clouds break apart and we transition toward more and more sunshine. Temperatures are going to stay on the cooler side of average almost county-wide because of the influx of clouds. As far as the remaining showers that we have through the rest of the day, again, the bulk of it was from about 4 a.m. to 10 a.m., and then now we're watching as all these showers kind of subside. But there's still more, mainly south of the 8 freeway that we're watching for, including the chance of a few pop-up thunderstorms through about 12:30, 1 p.m. We'll watch as that activity continues to pick up over our local mountains for the most part. Not the most populated areas of San Diego County. Those are going to stay overcast. And then closer to about 4 or 5 p.m., we watch as those clouds steadily break apart and we transition toward more and more sunshine. That's what I want to emphasize is this big transition from tropical moisture, showery out there, humid over the last several days, to a much drier and much warmer weather pattern. So the transition that we watch for is going to come very quickly from today through Friday, and then Friday all the way through the weekend and through Labor Day, we've got much drier conditions, much warmer conditions. High temperatures today, widespread upper 70s out by the coast, 80s as you make your way inland. The big cool down is what we're watching for across our local mountains and deserts. As opposed to the 90s across the mountains, we've got 70s today, and opposed to the triple digits, we've got 80s for the deserts. Borrego Springs shooting for 89 degrees today. Coastline still calling for a weather impact alert day because of that 50% chance of showers remaining. As we get into the weekend, though, take a look at that sunshine beaming on down. Low 80s out by the coast. Going to be a very pleasant weekend forecast that we're watching for. You'll notice it a bit more inland as we climb from 86 degrees this afternoon up to the 90s. Could even jump by about 10 degrees in total from this afternoon to Labor Day. Labor Day, absolutely, and Tuesday could warrant an extreme heat warning, a heat advisory, as those temperatures keep climbing into the above average range. Keep in mind this also comes alongside a ton of afternoon sunshine as opposed to that dense layer of clouds that we've been seeing over the last several days. Mainly as you look east, you've seen those billowing cumulus clouds. Not going to be as much of a threat going into the next couple days. Mountains start to see those showers break apart tonight. We're drier, we're warmer. Temperatures warm to 96 degrees. That's that forecast high from Sunday all the way through about Tuesday of next week. Partly cloudy as we get toward about Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. We're also watching as those deserts climb from 87 all the way up to 109, a 22-degree climb in temperatures. That is huge for this time frame. It's also the first time in quite a while that we've had measurable rainfall on the ground. Something to celebrate this week. Remember, a drier, warmer Labor Day weekend, though, is definitely ahead across San Diego.
Thank you so much, Evan. Now let's head up to Sacramento, where temperatures are on the rise heading into the holiday weekend. Monica Woods has all of those details.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods with our regional headlines throughout northern and central California, getting awfully close to the unofficial end to summer for Labor Day. For the coast, morning fog, partial afternoon clearing. In the valley, slightly warmer. Now for the foothills, we're going to see bigger changes, clearing from those thunderstorms that have been overrunning into the lower elevations, but less storms overall for the Sierra. So that's really going to help heading into that holiday weekend. For our Thursday, though, still have the opportunity of thunderstorms up and down the Sierra spine there. That's going to stretch all the way from the southern Sierra to the northeast corner of California and towards Mount Shasta as well. So travel could be impacted if you're getting an early jump on the holiday. Forecast highs for our Thursday in the mid-90s up and down the valley, a little bit closer to 100 for Oroville as well as Colusa. Over towards the coast, 70s for San Francisco, 70s up top for the Sierra. So again, watching the opportunity of thunderstorms there. For the coast, over the holiday weekend, we'll see sunny skies for Saturday, highs in the 70s, more fog by Labor Day. Highs will be in the upper 60s. We'll stay in the mid-90s throughout the Central Valley with mostly sunny skies for the foothills, mostly sunny highs in the 90s, and then for the Tahoe Basin, highs will be in the 70s. But again, the biggest change there is going to be less in the way of thunderstorms throughout the high country. So a good-looking holiday forecast overall. One of the places that folks like to head for the holiday is our reservoirs. They're so pretty. Now, we've had some thunderstorm clouds building over the past couple of days. We'll watch that for our Thursday, but as we move in towards the weekend, things are actually starting to improve quite nicely. But as temperatures start to warm by air temperatures, those water temperatures are still going to be quite chilly. We'll take a look at that. Capacity-wise, as far as our capacity, we're down a lot by about 50 to 80%, still above average for most places. So despite the fact that we're seeing the lower water levels, overall, things are still really healthy for our water supply. Now, you may be wondering, wow, it's the peak heat, but the water levels are pretty low this time of year. That's because we're preparing to wrap up our water year. So water managers try to empty those reservoirs, get ready for the next rainy season. And here's that line right there showing where the current capacity is for a place like Folsom Lake. And this kind of shows you how it fills up during the spring and then it starts to empty during the summer when the need is also the greatest as well, because typically we don't see much in the way of wet weather throughout the Central Valley and we need that water. River temperature is only about 55 to 65 degrees to about 70 or so. So upstream, when they're releasing that water, downstream, that is really cold snowmelt water. Comes from the bottom of the reservoir where the cold, dense water tends to accumulate, so it's pretty cold. Just these couple water precautions: life vests, keep a close eye on children, avoid alcohol. Cold water can impact breathing, and it makes for tough rescues as well. As far as those thunderstorms, again, they are going to start to quiet somewhat into our Friday forecast. We're still going to be tracking that, though, as we kick off that holiday weekend. When thunder roars, go indoors and avoid any water as well. Watch out for hiking as well. Might want to monitor that very closely. Chance of thunderstorms for our Thursday forecast in the high country as we move towards Yosemite. Still tracking that chance of thunderstorms, and we're toasty inland along the central coast. 60s and 70s inland areas, though, getting pretty close to 100. That'll be true as well for the Bay Area forecast, near 70 along the coast. Inland areas were closer to about 95. Along the northwest coast of California, in the 60s. Inland areas closer to 100. And again, in that northeast corner, still that chance of thunderstorms. Mid-90s to upper 90s throughout the capital region, with our 5-day regional forecast really starting to back off that risk of thunderstorms for the high country. Good looking holiday weekend, and that includes the valley as well. Although a little bit warmer, nothing too extreme here. Back in 2022, we hit a high of 114 for Labor Day. So 95, I think we'll take it there for our Labor Day forecast, and then a little bit cooler heading into next week.
Still ahead, monsoon thunderstorms continue to impact Denver while Phoenix begins to dry out. We'll have those forecasts coming up after the break, and later it's Thursday, which means it's Drought Monitor Day. See if recent rains have helped drought conditions out west. We'll have the details. Stay with us. Welcome back to Weather Out West. So scattered thunderstorms are in the forecast once again for our friends in Denver, but the rain is much needed. Kathy Sabin tells us if the storm chances will end by the holiday weekend.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team meteorologist Kathy Sabin, and we are in the midst of a really kind of unusual August weather pattern. We've been waiting on the monsoon flow of moisture for weeks now, and finally it is streaming northward into Colorado. We're getting that chance of showers each day, but the temperatures have been trending way cool, 10, 15 degrees cooler than average. And with all of this tropical moisture coming in from the southwest, we've had a chance of rain every day, which is something we desperately need. Western Colorado, an extreme drought scenario playing out. This extends into the Great Basin, the Southwest, and now up into the Pacific Northwest. Not to mention that we're battling multiple wildfires across our state. So to see a weather pattern with cloudy, cool weather day after day and a chance for showers every day is wonderful news. The only concern we've had is training over areas where we already have saturated soil. So we have had numerous flash flood warnings posted, and we've been watching the burn scar areas especially closely for mudslides and the potential for flooding in areas like the Alexander Mountain Fire area and even, up into Meeker and northwestern Colorado, where some of those heavier storms have dropped some really good rain. The flow from the northwest to the southeast will take some of the heavier showers east of us in the next 48 hours through Oklahoma, down into Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. We have a partly sunny day initially. There'll be another batch of showers coming in from the west, but it looks like only isolated showers are expected in Denver today, with heavier storms along the I-76 corridor and south Colorado Springs out to the Lyman area. Fort Collins enjoying a little bit of sunshine today, something we haven't seen up there in a while. We'll look for highs in the upper 70s today. This temperature trend, the cooler than average temperature trend, will continue until Friday. And then for the holiday weekend, we've got a warming and drying trend with sunshine and 80s again by Labor Day.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. As we wrap up the month of August and head into September, we've seen a cooler weather pattern. Temperatures are gradually set to warm back up to near seasonal conditions. Our average high this time of the year, 86 degrees in Denver. The record that was 96 set back in 2011. Now, I want to talk about the 90s. Some of you love the summertime heat, but what's our typical average last 90-degree day? Typically, September 11th, the latest on record here in town, October 1st, back in the 1800s. But I don't think we're out of the woods just yet in terms of that final 90-degree day. The first week of September is looking a little bit cooler than average, with temperatures fluctuating in the 70s and 80s. But in the last 5 years, as we take a look back, 90-plus degree days recorded in the middle and later portions of September. So as we look toward how many 90-degree-plus days we saw this year so far, just around normal. 46 recorded the record. That was 75 set back in 2020. So enjoy the cooler than average temperatures. We've seen that little taste of fall, but I do not think we're out of the woods just yet in terms of that warmer weather that we typically see at times through the end of the month of September.
After the dust storm and thunderstorms earlier in the week, if you recall the Haboob, I'm sure you've seen so many videos and photos of that. Things are finally settling down in Phoenix, but that means temperatures are going up. Ginger Jeffries has the details from Phoenix.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a look at your weather out west across the great state of Arizona, where, wow, we have seen some epic weather this week. A very active monsoon. On Monday, I called it a monsoon surge. Certainly got some healthy rainfall. We saw that wild dust storm on Monday, and then we followed that up with just some pockets of rain on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now today, it's very minimal as far as our opportunity for rain. However, we're going to get this blanket of cloud cover across the state, and we're still going to see some very spotty showers. Most of it, unlike the past few days, is going to be concentrated on the west, northwest side of the state. While, yeah, there's going to be kind of a little bit of a breather through higher elevations into the White Mountains. Doesn't mean we won't see some rain touch down. It just really means the focus is going to be on the northwest section. So Bullhead City, Lake Havasu, Parker, all get ready for some spotty showers today. Most of this will be developed developing later in the afternoon, early evening hours. The rest of us going to see considerable cloud cover. Look at this. Sedona, 87. I've got 74 today in Flagstaff, about 83 in Show Low. Tucson, not even going to hit triple-digit strength today at 98 degrees. 103 overhead in Phoenix and right about 93 in Yuma. So what's going on? Well, Futurecast is showing all this push of cloud cover. These are mid-level clouds coming up from the southwest. By about 7 o'clock this evening, you can see, well, okay, the skies are going to clear right in time for sundown, which is going to be pretty gorgeous as far as all those bright hues in the sky as the sun is going down. And then we should clear out, starting to see just a little bit of cloud cover to the east. This is going to set the stage for a clear and dry and warmer weather pattern that's going to take over for the weekend. Today, it's going to be a mixture of sunshine and cloud cover. We're looking for daytime highs to stay below our normal range. Normal this time of the year, about 105. And remember, last week we were dealing with temperatures that were near record territory at 112. But instead, we've got a very manageable 103 tonight. Partly cloudy, overnight lows down to about 84 degrees. As far as the next 3 days, again, a lot of cloud cover out there across the state today. By tomorrow, we're starting to see clear conditions. And then, yeah, just in time for the weekend, look, it's back. Temperatures are going to be very close, if not slightly above where they should be this time of the year. For western Arizona, that means about 107 degrees. Here's something else that's pretty interesting. We've got kind of minimal moisture in higher elevations until Monday. And look at this. Tuesday is going to be another active rain day, especially in the high country. For the White Mountains, I think we're going to see most of that impact by Sunday. And some of this is also going to filter down into the valley floor. Notice the White Mountains yesterday, kind of look at that fog. This has got definitely some fall feels in the mix. So look for that through the weekend. But again, the rest of us will be drying out until the early part of next week, when once again, we're going to see a little bit of a monsoon surge that I think is going to have potential to bring around some rain for the valley. So today on the monsoon meter, okay, not too big of a deal. We've got 2s and 3s. Again, western Arizona going to see the heaviest action. As a result, dew points are going to be on the sticky side, and then we'll dry out for the weekend before, here we go, another round of monsoon moisture by the early part of next week. So as far as for the valley, we've got a 1 on the board that's going to drop to a 0 by the weekend. So again, this is all setting up to kind of bring us back to where we should be this time of the year with our dew points and with our temperatures. But early next week, again, we'll see a little bit of a monsoon surge, 40 to 60% coverage for higher elevations. For the valley, okay, highs are going to get back to their normal range by Saturday and Sunday. And then again, we'll start coming down slightly below the normal range by the middle part of next week.
Still ahead after the break, monsoonal moisture made its way all the way up to Washington State, bringing showers and even a couple of thunderstorms. We'll have forecasts from Spokane and Seattle. Stay with us. Welcome back to Weather Out West. Yesterday, Seattle finally broke its 5-day streak of temperatures in the 80s and 90s, but the 80s are making a comeback. Mountain thunderstorms are in the mix as well, and unfortunately, that means there could be a couple of new fires. Something to watch. I have all of those details in today's forecast. A very happy Thursday from Seattle, Washington. I'm King 5 meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. Let's talk about the showers that we've had this morning. Just a band of showers that really just pumped up and then brought a good bit of moisture to areas closer to Port Angeles, the Olympic Peninsula, and all the way to Whidbey Island and Everett, up into the mountains as well. Those will continue to taper off as the morning goes on. Heading into the afternoon, we're expecting some sunshine, and we know what that means. That adds fuel to the atmosphere for some thunderstorms to develop, so we'll have to watch out for that potential up into the mountains. We are expecting a slight drop in our temperatures heading into the Labor Day weekend, but not going to be anything major. Let's talk about what's happening in the atmosphere. We have this very weak system just over the region at the moment, and then we have a stronger system system offshore. That's an upper low that could come close to our area heading into the holiday weekend. That's going to determine how much rain we could get over the weekend. For now, we're just expecting a couple of showers, maybe a better chance closer to the coast, but more cloud cover and that drop in temperatures. But for today, again, you see those showers. They were pretty consistent moving east to west. Those will taper off, but then around that low, we'll get some of that wraparound moisture, and that could lead to some more clouds just wrapping around that low. But if we get some sunshine, especially, there you have it. You see how thunderstorms start to pop back up into the afternoon, evening, and that's along the Cascade Range and the foothills. So something we have to watch very, very carefully for. Pretty much all of the area has that potential to see a thunderstorm or two for areas shaded in this light green, but that will favor, the thunderstorm potential will favor the mountains. So once again, there is a red flag warning in place for the Eastern Olympics and the Cascade Range all the way until 9 o'clock tonight. We have the dry fuels, thunderstorm risk, and the potential for some outflow winds that could cause some storms to pop up, could cause them to spread rapidly should they pop up. But all in all, in the lowlands, our rain chances remain low heading into the afternoon, but some of those showers, maybe a thunderstorm, could creep a little closer to the lowlands. Otherwise, we're going to have 80s returning to the area. Yesterday, we broke that 5-day stretch of temperatures in the upper 80s and lower 90s here in Seattle, so that's going to change. We're back up into the 80s, not talking 90s, however. And then over the holiday weekend, temperatures near normal. We'll have more clouds in place, but then into Labor Day, looking good. Around western Washington this morning, Hurricane Ridge and the Olympic National Park, we have a good bit of cloud cover, a couple of light showers, and then that marine layer just locked in place at the Pacific Coast. Mount Rainier, Paradise, we have sunshine, and then overlooking downtown Seattle. We can't see the mountain off in the distance, but we can see downtown Seattle. No major issues, but we still have some smoke haze in place, light smoke haze, however. Likely going to stick with us at least for the next couple of days until we get a stronger push of onshore winds, which should help push some of it out of here. But today our air quality is expected to be in that moderate range. Highs today, low and mid 80s for Puget Sound, to our north in the mid 70s. Tomorrow's going to be similar, except some spots could have a stronger push of some onshore winds. If not, either way, it's going to be pretty warm. Our average highs about 77. For our weekend forecast in Puget Sound, if you're visiting or you live here, highs will be in the 70s, maybe a slight chance for a couple of showers. We just have to kind of see how close that one system I was telling you about in the open Pacific right now, how close it comes to our area. And then if you're out recreating over the weekend, Mount Rainier looking great. We'll have maybe a chance for a thunderstorm, but for now leaving things dry. And then if you're headed to the east side of the Cascades to cool off, Lake Wenatchee, 90s. Here's another look at your forecast. Really going to be a nice stretch of weather into the holiday week, especially. Lower 80s and beyond the 7-day forecast, 80s to start, and then we're looking at 70s to wrap up the first full week and a half of September. Thanks so much, Studio Ashley. Okay, let's head east of the Cascade Mountains to get a check on the forecast with Reagan Gallo in Spokane.
Hello, this is Regan Gallo, and we are here from Spokane, Washington, in the beautiful Inland Northwest. And the Inland Northwest is getting somewhat of a reprieve from an earlier heat wave earlier this week. And as you can see in our mountain region right now, we're getting a little bit of showers, a little bit of cloud coverage. And honestly, I am okay with that because it was super hot in the mid-90s earlier this week. And today, we maybe will see a high of 79, but with mostly cloud coverage. So let's take a look at that right now. It's 68 degrees with relative humidity, it's been around 68 to 75, and it's going to stay sticky. We're going to have some moisture throughout the day, and that's not going to continue, and it's really not going to burn off until probably tomorrow into our Friday afternoon and through our weekend. So I am honestly okay with that because it's been very hot, but don't you fret because Labor Day weekend is going to be just beautiful for those who are going out on a lake, going to the picnic, enjoying friends and family, whatever it is. So right today for our Thursday, we have light rain in the morning. That's going to continue because we're also potentially going to see some isolated thunderstorms, especially in the mountain regions. That's going to go through this afternoon and into this evening and possibly into tomorrow as well for your Friday. However, like I said, weekend temps, it is going to start to burn off tomorrow and Friday afternoon into evening, and it's going to be a beautiful 90-degree day for our Labor Day weekend. Temps right now outside 68 in Spokane, and it's really been that way all morning long, and it's going to continue until we hit that 79 mark. Now, I know kiddos are getting back to school this week or maybe after Labor Day, so what's the bus stop going to look like? I recommend parents to put layers on your kiddos. Maybe grab a small umbrella because today it's cloudy, it's a little bit sticky, a little bit warm, but still there might be in rain at recess time. So I would definitely ensure they have those layers because when they do get home, they can peel it off because it's going to be just hitting below 80 degrees for the end of the school day. Alrighty, as we're talking about the end of the school day, I'm also going to be talking about the highs for today, which is around 4 p.m. We're going to see 79 in Spokane, and then for most of the region like Colville, 85, and down in Lewiston, 87. So we're going to be right in those high 70s to mid 80s for most of the day. So still beautiful out, just not nearly as hot as what we saw earlier this week in our beautiful inland Northwest, but that hot weather is going to still come as things dry up. So we are actually a little bit above average for this time of year going into September and going into that Labor Day weekend. As you can see for Friday, normally it's around 80 degrees this time of year. It's going to be 86 tomorrow, and again, there's still going to be some cloud coverage and some moisture, but by Saturday that starts to burn off. We hit 90s, we stay there. We might dip down a little bit on Monday, but look, this is just going to be beautiful weather for whatever you're doing for our Labor Day weekend. So I personally am very excited. We had a little pep in our step here because I am just excited to have another vacation already. So as you can see, we have a little bit of rain that comes into our North Idaho region. Let's see, at about 4 o'clock tomorrow on Friday, but then it leaves us and it's dry for the rest of Saturday. So if you've got Saturday plans, I wouldn't expect any other rain after Friday afternoon. But next thing on our list is our 7-day forecast. We have 86 degrees right here on our Friday, and then we have Saturday, and look, 90s and 89, and then another 93-degree day through Wednesday as well as Friday. Now, I know also people are excited because it's football season here in the Inland Northwest. People are going to the Battle of the Palouse, and with that, we're going to have a beautiful day for football on Saturday. A few other things here. We have an air quality alert for Latah County, a flood watch, and also red flag warnings for the Cascades. So just if you're getting out of the Inland Northwest region, that's what to expect as well.
The University of Washington games on Saturday as well. I'm looking forward to that. The weather looks to cooperate. Still ahead, we'll stay in the Northwest to get a check on the holiday weekend forecast with our meteorologists in Portland and Boise. Welcome back to Weather Out West. I'm Ashley Ruiz. Now it's time to head to Idaho. After a wet and stormy day in Boise, our friends are now dealing with sunshine and wildfire smoke. Hector Mendoza tells us if the quiet weather is going to continue through the holiday.
Well, we had lots of rain come along yesterday through the early morning hours, and because of that, we set records here in Boise. We had a significant amount of rainfall here, setting that record there just above a ½ inch of precipitation. And if you look at the previous record, well above that, and it'd been some time since we broke that record there. 1895 was the last time we saw a significant amount of moisture there on the 27th of August, and we well surpassed that heading into yesterday as we had some early morning rain. And here is some other notable storm notes that we noticed from the storms from yesterday, as Lucky Peak and their weather stations got a little above 5 inches of rain from 5 p.m. on Tuesday all the way through 11 o'clock in the morning there through Wednesday. Something else to really of note here, we saw the second and fifth highest water content ever measured here in Boise, and not just for August. This is ever. This is what we saw yesterday, so that is something of note that we saw. And aside from that, we saw not just Boise hit records, but Ontario as well got just under a quarter of an inch or 3/4 of an inch of rain yesterday as we looked through the morning, and most of that made its way on out through the afternoon. And this is what we're left with, as most of that moisture has come and gone, and we're left behind with a little bit more of that sunshine, drier conditions. And we're expecting to warm up later on into this afternoon, as we do have this system here that's going to bring us some of the warmer temperatures and drier air, but not enough to completely move on out most of that moisture, as we are going to continue to see some spots, especially into the mountains, that continue with some of those thunderstorm and rain chances later on into this afternoon and into tomorrow, but not nearly as heavy as what we saw yesterday. But again, we're anticipating some of the drier conditions to come along as we head closer into the weekend. Now, the other thing that we are going to pay attention to is going to be some of the wildfire smoke that's going to return and make its way through after some of the winds and storms that we saw the past couple of days. And here you can see some of the smoky conditions we're seeing here from our southeast Boise camera early on this morning, and that's just going to continue to stick around there through the afternoon, and it's going to extend on into tomorrow as we see most of that smoke that trickles on in from west central Oregon, and that's going to continue and expand into the Magic Valley. So Twin Falls, areas near Pocatello and Idaho Falls can see that through Friday morning and through the afternoon, and we are anticipating that to mix on out as we head closer into Saturday. But still, we will continue to see that air quality could be impacted as we head on into the rest of today and into tomorrow. So as we look at the 7-day forecast, we're going to start off with the mountains, as we're going to see the mid 70s for today, climbing up into these upper 70s. And again, we see a chance of some of those showers that come along later on into the afternoon on Friday as well. We'll climb up into the 80s with those clouds that continue on into Monday, and then we see much warmer temperatures going into next week. We look at the 7-day forecast here for Twin Falls, and that's where we notice some of those hazier conditions that come along for Thursday and Friday for the Twin Falls area and areas in the Magic Valley. We'll climb up into the upper 80s with a lot more of that sunshine just in time for Labor Day weekend for those folks that have a 3-day weekend, and then we'll continue to see that warmth extend all the way in through Wednesday with that sunshine and those warm temperatures in the morning and even through the afternoon. And as we look at the 7-day forecast here in Boise, again, pretty similar with some of the hazy conditions we're going to see for many valley spots through the next couple of afternoons, climbing up into the upper 80s, closer to seasonable temperatures. So that's what we're going to see on Friday. Then we'll start to see a lot more of that sunshine and temperatures warming back up to more summer-like temperatures into those low 90s there Saturday, Sunday, into Monday. So we will see another warm weekend that comes along this weekend, and then we'll continue to see that those low 90s will stick along all the way in through Wednesday. Those morning temperatures will start to climb up into the mid to upper 60s, and then we're going to continue pretty warm into the extended period, expecting to stick around there as we head on into Thursday with a slight chance of some rain later.
80 and 90 degree temperatures return in Portland, but will that last through the weekend? Rod Hill has all those details.
On a Thursday in Portland, I'm meteorologist Rod Hill. After, about 2.5 days of tracking thunderstorm activity, we actually had a couple cells pop up yesterday afternoon around our area. PDX, the airport, did put a thunderstorm observation in the official log that goes to the climate data center. Anyway, all of that is over because the low that was right on top of us has moved up to the north, and the rain is mostly even north of that up in the northern part of Washington today. So we have a couple of nice dry days with plenty of sun. We'll be getting a little warm in the afternoon. What does show up really vividly on the satellite picture is this curled circular formation of a low center offshore. This is the one that we've been talking about giving us a chance of some weekend showers for this upcoming Labor Day weekend. The modeling is increasingly insistent that the low stays offshore and stays out to sea far enough that we would not get any rain, but we would get some cloudiness coming from this on Saturday, which basically would help lower our temperatures a little bit in the afternoon. So more on that. There's that low that's clearly shifted to our north, giving us a dry day. The one area we are trying to figure out is the coast, where it's been a cloudy, foggy day in many locations. It looks like some areas could get some afternoon sun developing, while other areas may not. This is our fogged in Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera in Lincoln City. Inland is gorgeous. In fact, up over the summit of Mount Hood, it's just clear. And it's fairly warm this morning. Temperatures early in the morning already up to about 60 degrees. So that's a sign that the overall air mass is still pretty toasty, really. Here's our state capital, just mostly sunny skies. Beautiful day so far, and mostly sunny sky over downtown Portland, and the Willamette River is looking nice and flat. Really no breeze today. It's been a week of basically no breeze unless you've been near one of those thunderstorms where the winds have kicked up a little bit, but not a whole lot. Here's what Futurecast shows, and it's pretty quiet. This is this afternoon at 5 o'clock. These green specks represent the chance of some scattered showers in eastern Oregon. By the way, the National Weather Service was correct when they had flash flood watches out for numerous thunderstorm activity yesterday. All of that came true. There did not end up being any alarming rain rates or runoff. And now today, not really even expecting any lightning, maybe just a pop-up brief shower here and there. So basically dry. There's the rain chances well up into Washington. And as I mentioned, our coast clearing out some of the fog, but some areas could remain overcast. Here's Friday morning, a new push of some low marine clouds. Another chance of some short-lived showers out over the Blue Mountains during the afternoon. Look at all the sun inland and even well up into Washington, the rain chance is disappearing. Now here's Saturday, and this is cloudiness being tossed inland from that low that's way out here, and where you see the green, that's the rain way out here. I can't tell you the rain chance is 0 for Saturday under these clouds, but it really looks like we're just going to get some mid to high level clouds from that low. That would give us a really pleasant Saturday, and then we get into more of increasing sunshine on Sunday, and absolutely expecting a sunny Labor Day Monday at this point. So our forecast numbers for a really quiet weather pattern for the next several days. Upper 80s today would be right where we ended up being on Wednesday. Southwest Washington, Longview 86, Vancouver about 89. The shower chance looks like it's holding north of our area. And here are the afternoon numbers on our big board, if you will. 80s and 90s inland today and 60s at the coast. On Portland's 7-day. 89 today, could hit 90 tomorrow. So again, pretty warm. I mean, maybe we do it today, right? And then the shower chance, I'm probably going to end up just pulling the plug on that. But some cloudiness, 81 on Saturday. Sunday, partly cloudy, 83. Sunny, 86 on Monday for the holiday. And then it is September, and we can hit the 90s, and they show up Monday and Tuesday.
Still ahead after the break, a check on our national forecast. We walked you through your weather out west, but let's take a step back and look at the national picture with Caitlin McGrath.
I'm meteorologist Caitlin McGrath, and if you want some summer heat, you've got to head out west. But if you like the cooler temperatures, the taste of fall continues along much of the east coast and back into the northeast. There's also a reinforcing cold front today that will drop temperatures even farther below average. Now we are also watching a few storms down into the south and east, but let's start off with the northwest, where the forecast looks really nice here over the next several days. Seattle and Portland, plenty of sunshine with temperatures in the 80s, low 90s in Portland for Friday. Now Saturday, if you're up in Seattle, you could see a few showers, but otherwise mostly dry. Spokane, you've got a few showers to get through today, but then dry for Friday and Saturday. Boise looking beautiful with temperatures in the upper 80s and low 90s. We are still tracking triple-digit heat down into Phoenix. Tons of sunshine, temperature 103 for today. Denver, you've got a few storm chances over the next several days with temperatures that are a little bit cooler in the upper 70s and low 80s. Gorgeous in Sacramento, albeit a little bit toasty by this weekend. And San Diego, you have a few showers today, but beautiful once again as we head toward Friday and the weekend. Temperatures heating up in Texas as well. Triple digits in Austin with a few storm chances for Friday and the weekend. Dallas, you've got daily storm chances as well with temperatures that do get a little bit cooler, or at least less hot, by Saturday. Houston and down into Corpus Christi, temperatures for the most part in the mid to upper 90s with sunshine, not getting any rain relief. Down into Tampa, temperatures in the low 90s for the next several days. A few storms possible on Saturday. Similar forecast there in New Orleans, but a few storms start to move in for your Friday forecast. Little Rock, not quite as nice. You do have quite a bit of rain to get through today into Friday as well, but dries out just in time for the weekend. Atlanta looking nice today and tomorrow with temperatures in the low 80s. Saturday could see a few storms, but not going to be a washout of a weekend by any means. Gorgeous down into Charlotte today and tomorrow, but Saturday some rain does look to roll through, so you may have to adjust your weekend plans. And nice and calm in Louisville and Memphis once we get past those few showers today. And St. Louis looking gorgeous as well with sunshine and temperatures in the mid to low 80s. Back toward Minneapolis, we've got some fog to get through early on Thursday, but then nice sunshine Friday, a little bit cloudier and cooler for Saturday. Grand Rapids, you've also got a few storms today, but looking pretty nice for the weekend. Indianapolis, gorgeous here over the next several days. Just a little overcast as we head throughout the afternoon. That'll keep temperatures in the mid 70s. Des Moines, you've got sunshine today, but swapping in a few showers for Friday. And over into the northeast, Portland, gorgeous for today. Sunshine in low 70s. But a few storm chances for Friday into Saturday. Buffalo, you've got storms in the forecast today, but then you dry things out nicely for the weekend. A little bit cooler in the 60s. DC looking really nice with sunshine and 80. Similar forecast down into Norfolk.
Still ahead after the break, the latest drought monitor update, and we have AAA's top travel destinations in the U.S. and abroad. What the forecast looks like, rather, for those destinations. Every Thursday morning, the U.S. Drought Monitor releases its update, and today it was released just earlier this morning, and what it shows for the West, even with some beneficial rain over the last week, it just wasn't enough to ease the drought conditions, which is expected. But there was some relief in central Colorado. Now, and I'll show you on the map, and it shows lots of colors, I know. But the red color, that's an extreme drought. So the scale goes from 0 to 4. So the extreme drought is a D3, and the D4 is the exceptional drought. So that's that dark maroon color, or even the just deep red. That's an exceptional drought, which you see that's the case for some spots just to the west of Denver over northwestern Colorado. Now let's zoom into the Pacific Northwest because the drought is getting worse in Washington. You see the orange color, the severe drought, a D2 out of D4. And that was actually expanded to include more of eastern Washington. There is that sliver that you see over Idaho under that extreme drought and a very small sliver of that exceptional drought. And the severe drought expanded in eastern Washington, as I mentioned, and according to the quote, or to the report, and I quote, "Some of the worst agricultural conditions in the country have been noted in recent weeks across Washington," end quote. The U.S. Department of Agriculture reports that nearly 50% of the state's rangeland and pastures are in poor condition, and more than half of barley and spring wheat crops are rated very poor to poor, and you can see the rest of the desert Southwest in the southern portion of California. So what is the outlook looking like? Through November, this is a seasonal drought outlook. It's showing that portions of Washington entering the wet season and the Pacific Northwest in general, we should have some improvement in the drought. Now, that lighter white color, creamy color, that means drought improves but doesn't completely disappear. But then that green, that lighter green that you see there, that means drought likely ends, which is expected considering ending or heading into that wet season. However, a large portion of the West in that blue color, or blue, wow, brown, that drought continues. Meanwhile, over portions of New Mexico and then portions of Colorado, it shows that the drought likely begins. So that's going to be something to watch over the next couple of months as we head into the fall months. Let's talk about AAA's top destinations, travel destinations for Labor Day weekend. Seattle is number 1. And I will say a lot of the top 5 or even the top 10 travel destinations are just kind of moved around from the 4th of July travel destinations. Not much has changed, really just the list of them, the 1 through 5. So Orlando, as expected, That's number 2. Thunderstorms, highs in the 80s. New York City, 70s to about 80, mostly sunny. And then Boston, Massachusetts, also on the list. And these are in order, by the way, on the list. 70s, so really nice there. Anchorage, going to be in the 60s with a couple of showers. Now, let's head abroad. Number 1, Vancouver, British Columbia. Temperatures in the 70s, a couple of showers, very comfortable though. Number 2 is Rome, Italy, and temperatures there will be in the 80s with a couple of thunderstorms. England, London, England, temperatures in the 60s and 70s with a couple of showers. Dublin is number 4, and you see some rain, highs in the 60s. And Paris in the 70s, that's number 5. So once again, we want to thank, or as always, we want to thank you for joining us on Weather Out West on this Thursday. Be sure to join us again on Friday for more Weather Out West segments.